All right. Well, the Fed announcement certainly didn't go the way I was planning on it going, but you never can plan on the market going a specific way. Let's talk about that and more coming up next on Short Vol Show Live. Please stay with me. All right, and thank you to my graphics artist for that thumbnail. That's a beautiful thing, that thumbnail. He's been saving that one for a while, and something about it makes me smile. Anyway, what didn't make me smile was the sell-off we had yesterday after that Fed announcement, and people were parsing it in different ways, saying, well, the reason, obviously, that it sold off is that the Fed was not hawkish enough or this and that. And I just think they were just trying to make an excuse for why the market went down. And, you know, you can come up with whatever reason you want, but it doesn't really matter. The market sold off. It's sort of rallied over the night here. I've got the chart behind me from the E-minis over the last few hours, and it's kind of rallied during the night. However, this is not, doesn't feel that good to me, and we could easily just tank lower really quickly on the open here today. So I don't think that I don't have this like really super peaceful, easy feeling now, or warm and fuzzy feeling with the market as it is right now here. I'm trying to make myself smaller. And so anyways, but let's go to VIX Central and we'll check out where we are here. Term structure, it's pretty flat. Yesterday was expiration, so these futures, they don't have to follow that closely to spot right now because we're far off from the next expiration. And you notice that the front 2 months, I guess what's notable is they look very flat. In fact, they were almost going into contango last night, only 1% backwardation here. However, it is significant that spot is 3 points above the nearest future. And so if we stay up here as far as the VIX, this stuff is going to get sucked upward. Now, there's not backwardation, but there still is pressure to the upside, not just from that sort of roll of backwardation, but just because all this stuff is getting pulled upward towards spot as long as spot stays up here. So it's not like a real great feeling if you're short it to have spot way above. I mean, in a sense, the futures are kind of predicting that spot will be lower. I guess if you take the term structure as predictive, we usually don't take the term structure as predictive, but I guess you could look at it as saying these are futures, and it's saying in the future vol will be lower because they're all lower than where the VIX is right now. So anyway, we'll have to monitor that closely. We're not going to get the VIX to go down unless we rally off these lows, though, however. And we're kind of bouncing around this 2,500 area. That seems like a significant area, 2,500 psychologically for the SPX. And remember, the E-mini futures are in, almost exactly what the SPX is here. You can see they're off by like a point right now. NASDAQ also, let's take a look at the chart for that. Similar rally. Remember, we had more of a down move in the NASDAQ yesterday than we did in the SPX. And the question is, we have further to go on a lot of these things. And the question is, do you start to buy a little bit for your long-term portfolio? You know that if this goes back up and starts taking out the highs again, everybody's going to come on and say, oh, yeah, that was a clear buying opportunity. We bought so much down there. Well, or if it tanks from here, people will be like, well, why'd you buy it there? No one bought it there. It obviously wasn't over yet. So my response to that is I nibble a little bit here for my long-term stuff. I'm happy that I didn't ride it all the way down. And so I nibble a little bit here. Things that I'm nibbling at are stuff that's like really depressed that I think is like a viable company. So for example, J&J, I nibbled at that. I nibbled at XOP because I'm thinking, wow, it just sounds cheap to me. Oil at $49 a barrel. It seems like that sounds cheap. And it seems like when you see the gas prices at the gas station are super cheap, you think, well, it's got to go up at some point. Now, is that the best use of capital? I'm not sure, but I'm nibbling a little bit at XOP. Another one that I was looking at is COP, which is a pipeline company, ConocoPhillips. I guess my dad's stockbroker is pretty. He likes that one a lot. And I've been looking at just. I like ACB as far as the MJs. ACB has been relatively unscathed in all this other bad stuff that has happened. Tilray up now around 78.9. I just feel like this is a huge short and that this thing is going right back to 69. Of course, it would have ripped my head off if I'd been at short at 69. I have no position right now, but I think I will open some sort of short position because I just feel like every time this rallies, it just gets pushed down. And remember, we have Jan 15th is when this lockout period ends. And I'm sure some of that has already filtered into the market now, but I feel like there is a lot of downside pressure on this issue, even with the stream of good news that's coming out. And also, even with the stream of good news that's coming out, the valuation of this company is still pretty high. We don't know if marijuana is just going to become a commodity. We don't know if there's going to be a glut in the market in Canada coming up once these guys all get up to full production. Is there going to be way too much supply and not enough demand? There's a lot of questions out there for MJ stuff. I just feel with the ACB, just from just a technical standpoint, it looks like I don't see it cracking below like $4 really right now. Here's the chart right here, but I don't. It seems like from a technical standpoint, buying some for around here seems like the downside is pretty safe, but who knows? All right, so VIX right now, right around 25. All these futures in the 20s. This is pretty high levels, but we could see this go higher. There's a lot of commentary online yesterday and from other people saying, well, the VIX is going to have to make a real big pop before we get a turnaround in the market. There's going to have to be capitulation. I heard Pete Nigerian talking about that on Fast Money. And that's the thing that floor guys talk about a lot is that, you don't get the balance until they give up to the downside and you see like, oh, it's just going straight, stuff's going straight down, violently straight down, and then you get that big bounce. But when we just have kind of the grind that's been going on, that doesn't represent a bottom. It just means we're going to keep grinding and grinding and grinding. So some stuff to think about. There's tons of different stocks, individual issues. If you think we're going lower, there's plenty of them that have further to fall, of course. I've been setting up my own little lists of stocks to watch. Some of these illiquid issues have just gotten crushed into the ground. I was looking at this one, ABCB. There's all kinds of them out there. Caterpillar's done pretty well at holding up. Some of these other ones have done pretty well at holding up. Of course, the big stories yesterday were FedEx and of course, Facebook. Let's take a look at the news headlines today really quickly. And I'm going to go to Drudge Report here. Dancing at bar after wall win. Nothing really sticks out a whole lot right there for me. So we'll see what happens today. Like I said, we are up a little bit, but we could easily roll over. And this little rally certainly doesn't convince me that the selling is over here. So be careful out there. My position now is I am short UVXY. I have the Jan 67, 65 put vertical on, and I'm not looking for a long-term down move. I'm just looking for a down move here, and I kind of got it yesterday a little bit. It went to 66, but then just ripped straight up. So we'll see if we can get it to crack a little bit more today. the term structure should turn into, it should move into contango at some point if we stabilize here just a little bit. I want to see the back months up. The higher we can get those back month futures, the better we are long term for us shorts, because it helps pull that term structure up. So I want to see the back months up and the front months down, but we really need to lose a couple points in the VIX for this to normalize at all. Let's take a look at investing.com here for a second. And see what our headlines are there. Futures edge higher and bounce after Fed triggered swoon. We can go to barchart.com and look quickly at options, unusual options activity. I was signaling this one IMMU yesterday because they had these puts that were really bid up. So options, highest implied volatility. And it's got a bunch of Tilray stuff. Front month puts, which is not that, well, these are just pennies, these puts. See, when you see something like this, it's like 5-cent bid represents this huge vol. It's still only 5 cents. So that's really nothing. I was talking about how, oh, here's this IMMU. That's the one I was signaling about yesterday that was really kind of bid up. When I'm looking through these things, I want to find higher priced issues. Like this, maybe BIDU. Let's take a look at BIDU for a second. To find high vol situations to maybe sell something. And let's take a look at the volatility levels. I'm just setting my chart to implied volatilities. And this is in the 40s, so I'm not sure exactly what they're talking about. It must be some, let's see which option that was. BIDU, the 220 put. So that's got to be some sort of it's got to be some sort of a misprint because those are deep puts. So it's just the chart's just lined up weird, I think, on that one. That doesn't make sense. Tesla, always a contender. Riot, wow, Riot had a rise and fall. Riot's really representative of, I would say, the whole crypto thing, with it going being this high flyer just because it had to do with crypto and then getting crushed. That was something you could have seen coming. Let's take a look at Tilray for a second just to see what might be a good play to the short side here. And I just think this is a screaming sale. Now, there's only 1 day till expiration for this week, but maybe next week we look at something like the, let's see, the 75, 73 put vertical maybe. If you could pay, well, you don't want to pay $1.80 for it, right? Because it can only be worth $2, so that's not what you want to pay for it. But once the market's open, maybe we'll get a little bit better markets here. But let's take a look at some other stuff here. Maybe you go farther out. Maybe you go deeper. Maybe we do something like the 78, 74 put vertical. So $4, you don't really want to pay $3 for that one either. But once markets open, we can find something else. And another way to play this might be to sell something like a little bit farther out, like the Jan 75.80 call vertical, something like that. How about the Jan 75.85 call vertical? Sell a few of those, something like that, because obviously this is not lined up for current prices right now, but and that's why it gave me the strange markets. But definitely I would look to, like, not too far out to sell some of this stuff. The Jan 15th is the date that shares are going to become unlocked apparently, and so probably see some pressure around then. But I just feel like this is short because it just seems to get whacked every time good news comes out. It gets whacked down again, and there is pressure. There's going to be all these new shares. A ton of shares are coming on into the market, and these people bought some of these shares for, I think, like 25 cents. So they're definitely going to want to unload them as quickly as possible. As soon as they get unlocked, we've been talking about that situation for quite some time now. Meanwhile, our good friend Afria just is kind of like just in grind mode, and I don't think it's going anywhere really. GE, they were talking about the rally yesterday, but this huge rally. But the thing is, it might have been huge in percent terms, but it was only 50 cents really. So a lot of excitement about 50-cent rally is kind of like fake news. So here we've got Deutsche Bank. Now everybody got excited about Deutsche Bank and jumped in and bought like 9 stock, and it's ripping lower, unfortunately ripping lower for people that were backing up the truck. The downtrend continues in Deutsche Bank, and some people took a little hit on that. I believe I was long a little Deutsche Bank yesterday, so that wasn't great for me either. But I'm going to stick with that one long term and see if it doesn't come back a little bit. All right. Well, listen, thank you everybody for coming and joining the live stream yesterday. I was excited. I had over 50 people. Now, for a lot of YouTubers, that would be like nothing. But for me, that's a lot of people. So, and 50 people watch me get my head ripped off being short UVXY when the news came out. And so that was great. I love when you guys come and check out what's going on. It's cool to hang out together as a group. I feel like we're all just watching the Fed report together. It makes me feel less like I'm alone, trading the market. I feel like we're all kind of checking it out together. So that was fun yesterday. That was a cool thing doing that live stream, and I had fun with you guys coming and sharing that with me. I could feel you there behind your computers watching along with me as that Fed announcement came out. And somebody was asking, well, what does that mean if they raise the point? Does that mean it's going to go lower? And the answer is nobody knows what that means. It could have gone higher. It could have stayed the same. It could have gone lower. And you really can't predict what's going to happen short term in a situation like that. Now, some people would say that they were going to predict it, and some people would predict it, and they could be right or wrong. And it's just kind of like flipping a coin for people. It's so funny when people predict stuff with absolute certainty, and people that predict stuff with absolute certainty, they should have to have next to their name online what their record is at predicting stuff, because people will predict stuff every day, and then they'll only remind you of the ones they got right. You generally don't hear me saying, this is definitely going to happen tomorrow, because that's a silly thing to say. Nobody knows what's definitely going to happen tomorrow. And when people say that, it's like, really, dude? Do you really? Because nobody knows. So when someone comes on and says, oh, yeah, Twitter's definitely going higher tomorrow, you guys got to get on board. It makes them sound silly because nobody knows what's really going to happen in the stock market minute to minute. And you can have the best case for a stock in the world, and you can love it so much, and it could turn into Enron and go straight down. That's just the way it is. Like I was saying with J&J, people were coming on and saying J&J is the best stock ever. It's the safest. Oh, it's such a great company and great value, and buy it. And then it just freaking tanks. That's the lesson you learn in the stock market. And I know, here's the J&J chart. I'm kind of right in front of it, but just tanking. I know that this little period that we're in right now is going to be the first time for some newer traders that they're seeing the market not going straight up, and not like vol being in the way down in the 10s and the market going straight up. And, we have continued down for a while, and it can continue for a while like this. And this is just the way the markets can be. Those of us who've been around here a little bit longer will recognize that it can stay like that for extended periods of time. Now, I like to think when I'm thinking about it, I like to think, well, don't all these people have 401ks, and doesn't that money from their paycheck get put in the market every 2 weeks when they get paid? Or some people get paid every month, some people get paid every week, but doesn't that money flow into the market? Isn't there a steady amount of 401k money always coming into the market? So when we have all this selling, there has to be a ton of selling to offset all the regular passive investment buyers that are always coming in and buying a little. There has to be some serious people that are have serious money. They're like, we got to get out of this today. We got to get out of this week. And that kind of serious selling has to continue. Otherwise, we go back to what we were like last year with the market slowly rallying. So I guess what I'm trying to say is this sell-off stuff can't last forever, not as long as people have like their 401ks automatically investing, and that is a significant part of the market. There's not a lack of liquidity out there. There are dollars looking for a place to invest, and eventually this stuff is going to attract buyers. As the market goes lower, it means that like PE ratios for companies look better and better. Regardless of what the news headlines are, Facebook at $100 is a better buy than Facebook at $200. That just makes intuitive sense, and true with a lot of these issues. So, everything's on discount in a sense, and if the market continues like it pretty much always has, most of these issues will be back to their highs at some point, in the future, and it's just a question of when. So there are bargains out there to be had right now, and I don't want to turn around and have this huge rally and I miss out on it because I'm just all in cash. It's like I've avoided a lot of the sell-off by being in cash, so I want to buy at least something small down here to participate in some sort of rally because, the stuff is on discount. So I'm looking always for bargains for stocks to buy some stuff, but at the same time, I don't want to be like long too much because the trend right now, until otherwise something happens, is still down. All right, well, listen, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Thanks for watching this morning. And yeah, great job with the thumbnail to my graphic artist. Awesome, as usual. And I will see you folks next time. We look at the holidays coming up. Do that holiday shopping, folks. It's not too much time left. Don't wait too much for the last minute on your holiday shopping. All right, thanks for watching. Please check out my buddy Seth's group at phenomgroup.com. We'll just look at it real quickly here. Always interesting articles. I haven't read his newest article, but I will be checking it out once this broadcast is over. Fed messaging fails as S&P 500 approaches bear market territory. So check out Seth's newest article there. And please check out Guerrilla Trades for great trading ideas. And I'll see you in the next one, folks. Thanks for watching. Let's find some good outro music for you.
Volatility is not a pit, it's a ladder. The VIX goes up and down, but contango losses are forever.